So let's take a look at creating a learning experience for somebody. And let's use some things that we've used in this class. You're familiar with the ISTE standards and Neil Postman. So my thought here was to take some of these modern standards and apply sort of a historical context to them, much as I did at the beginning of this class. And what I'd want to do here is let students or the person doing this activity know what I'm after as a learning objective. I'd want to give them some first-hand look at maybe an interview with Neil Postman. I would want them to read something that he wrote. I would want them to maybe take some kind of more factual sort of quiz-like questions in order to reinforce maybe some vocabulary or concepts. And that I'd want to give them a quiz, and I wouldn't want to just make it a true-false quiz. I would prefer, and as usual, writing, so that they would have to explain some of what they thought about the confluence of those standards and Neil Postman's thoughts about teaching and technology. So let's do that right now on a simple Google site. In fact, just on one page on a Google site. So here is your blank Google site. I added a title to the page. I have 4 things open. One I'll go over in more detail in a second. One of them is that Notebook LM. Remember that? So with Google's Notebook LM, you can add sources, create questions to ask it, and then it kind of creates a podcast that I shared early on. If you haven't experimented with this, it's both frightening and amazing all at the same time. Anyway, I added the ISTE standards, a video from YouTube with Neil Postman, and then his writing, the 5 things we need to know about technological change. So those are the sources that this work is based off of. I have that piece of writing as a Google Doc. I have an interview with him. I made a Quizlet around technology. I think I made this one. I can't remember. But anyway, that's Quizlet tool. And then I used some of the questions from the Google Notebook to create a Google quiz. This is just part of Google Drive. So those are the things I have open. So for the first part here, I am going to go to my Google Notebook, and I asked it, I said, based on this information, give me 3 learning objectives. And these are not bad. I have not gone through them obviously with a fine-tooth comb, but I'm going to copy these and I'm going to add them here to the Google site. So the learning objectives for this class are as follows, right? So the learner, the person who's doing this, is going to say, aha, here's what is expected of me for this activity. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this reading and ask them to read that. So I'm going to go to my drive. I'm going to look for Postman, and I think it's down here. Right? So I'm going to insert some reading here. And I'm going to make sure that they know I would probably say a little bit more about this. I'm going to move it up here. Oh, I'll move it up here. And I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger so it's a little more obvious that it's a reading. Okay, so what people are going to see here in the preview button is they're going to see some learning objectives, and then they're going to see this reading. So that's a good start. I'm going to come down here to the bottom of this, and I'm going to add this video. So I'm going to have them read something by him and then watch a video by him, right? That seems pretty fair. So I'm going to... Okay, so here we have a video to watch. So I'm just going to let them know to watch this video. If I was smart and I was really doing this for an audience, I would describe this at some level rather than just saying watch the video, right? So now we have some objectives to try and get people to understand ISTE and Neil Postman. We have a reading by Neil Postman. We have a video by Neil Postman. And what we would want to do in here as well is add like a page or some content, obviously, about the ISTE standards. I can go find that here, if I remember correctly. So we can look at that page in here, I think. There we go. So this page has those ISTE standards around technology for teachers. So I'm going to say here in this site, so now they've watched the video, I'm going to give them those ISTE standards. Move this down here. I'm doing all this live, so just so you know, because I wanted you to see how long this would take approximately. So I'm going to link this to those standards, so they're going to have to navigate away from this page to read those. So in review, we have some learning objectives, we have a reading, we have a video, we have some more reading. So they've done those things. Now let's see what they remember or what they know. So we'll give them some flashcards around Neil Postman first. So in Quizlet here, you can embed and choose what style it is here. So we'll just go with some flashcards at the beginning. So we're going to come down here and add that embed code. And I'm going to change the... that probably is about right. Make this a little bigger and maybe a little taller. Yep, make it go all the way to the bottom. This way people can see which study set to use. Okay, so we've told them what they're going to do. We have the reading. We have a video. We have some practice questions. If I had a minute again, I'd probably do something similar around the ISTE standards or have a video around the ISTE standards. And now let's evaluate what they've done here. So I created a quiz here that has, I think, 7 questions, and they're all essay questions. So this is the ISTE Postman review. I think I can embed that down here with the drive. I'll search for ISTE. Let's see if there's anything here that shows up. Yep, so we can insert this. And I'm going to make this a little longer. So this is information that would come back to me as the teacher of this course. So I'm going to click Publish, save those changes, and let's look at what we have just created as a learning activity for somebody, right? So they're going to learn about the ISTE standards and Neil Postman. Here's some learning objectives. They get a reading. That's great. They get to watch some Neil Postman. That's good. They have a link to those ISTE standards. That's good. They have a game to play where you drag and drop things. I can't remember if this is click and click or, let's see, supersonic jet. Oh my gosh. I don't want to play those I should have made this just the flashcards. So, progress, here we go. There we go. And then below that, they can answer these questions. And once they've answered all of them, they can click submit. So we've given them information, some experiences. It was a little interactive with the Quizlet and the final essay answers. And that's how to do it with a couple errors. But that's just in Google Sites. And you can do that with any content you want. And that was all done. It looks very nice, to a user. And that was all free stuff.